Welcome, artists. In this video, you will learn about the concepts and skills we will be learning about in this unit. Please follow along with the note guide as you listen to this video. This unit will focus on what it means to have an artist's style and how one develops a style of their own. In simple terms, an art style just describes the key characteristics of how an artwork looks. Remember that cartooning is a form of art, and as such, it's based on the same elements of art and principles of design that are used by painters, photographers, sculptors, and any other visual artists. When you're looking at an artist's style, you're looking at the way the artist employs line, shape, color, etc., just like any other artist. For instance, Hayao Miyazaki uses bold, saturated primary and secondary colors with soft, rounded outlines in his artwork. His characters are semi-realistic with minimal shading, while his backgrounds more closely approach realism with depth and detail in the scenery. Matt Groening, on the other hand, has a very different style. His characters are a signature yellow with very distinctive, abstracted human faces. Although he also uses primary and secondary colors, for the most part, these are more muted or less saturated than Miyazaki's art. The key idea in this project is that most artists don't develop their ideas out of the blue. They're influenced by other artists that came before them. There is a saying that good artists copy and great artists steal, meaning that most artists start out by copying the work of others and then eventually melding bits and pieces of various styles into a style of their own. For example, the characters of Itchy and Scratchy that we see here were heavily influenced by classic cartoons like Felix the Cat. You can see this in the shapes of the bodies, the features like the cat's ears, the teeth, and the gloves. However, the artist did such a good job melding these features with the classic Simpsons facial features that an unknowing viewer might think that Matt Groening invented this style all on his own. So for this project, I'm asking you to put your powers of observation towards analyzing the styles of existing character artists so that we might be inspired to incorporate their techniques and develop them into a style of our own. Let's start by looking at 6 basic cartoon styles. First, we have the classic cartoon style. Think of series like Felix the Cat, Betty Boop, classic Disney cartoons like Steamboat Willie. The key features are black and white or muted colors, high contrast, short bodies, long limbs, and a modern take on this style can be seen in the series Cuphead on Netflix. When you look at the character shapes and details, you can clearly see how this artist was influenced by the classic cartoon style. And you can click here later to kind of see how they did that. The next style we have is the modern cartoon style, which you see in many shows on Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and so on. These are characterized by thick outlines. You'll see the black outlines around everything on the characters. Usually very geometric shapes and bright colors in this modern cartoon style. And next we have the quote-unquote realistic style. You can think of these almost like caricatures. In other words, they're based on real-life human proportions and features, but the features are simplified, or maybe they have some exaggeration, like the ears that we see here. You can see this in series like Archer, King of the Hill, BoJack Horseman, The Ugly Americans, all use this realistic style. And now we're going to jump into the Japanese cartoon styles. We have classic manga, features human-like proportions with very angular chins, small facial features with the exception of the large eyes, and typically tall, thin bodies. Many manga artists also add more shading than a typical cartoon, so you can see the detail and the lights and shadows in the coloring. And next we have the modern anime style, which tends to have even more shading and detail to further approach realism. Characters are often in motion and dynamic poses like we see here, and very angular compositions that emphasize the feeling of movement and energy. This art style also has lots of shadows and highlights in the characters and environments, adding a new level of complexity and realism in this art form. And lastly, we have the chibi art style, which is focused mostly on making your characters into tiny versions of themselves. They have round faces, large eyes, soft pastel colors, which emphasizes the feeling of cuteness or innocence in this style. So now that you know the 6 basic cartoon styles, let's find out how you are going to use them. Remember, our last unit focused on observation. We practiced training our eyes to better observe so that we could better reproduce the world around us in our drawings. For this project, we're going to take it to the next level by continuing to observe existing artist styles, copy elements of those other styles, but then start to add in changes that more reflect our own identities and personalities. So for this project in Unit 2, you are going to imitate other artists by drawing cartoon versions of yourself in the style of various popular cartoon series. You will copy the style of the series, but you'll make changes to reflect aspects of your identity. For instance, notice what is the same in all of these characters. I'll give you a second to look. All right, so we can see the influence of the other art styles, like The Simpsons, Steven Universe. But what stayed the same is that this character has the same baseball cap in every image, has the same ponytail hairstyle in every image, similar skin tones, except for where the skin tone is a key feature of that artist, like The Simpsons yellow. Wouldn't want to change that. But otherwise, they've kind of made it their own by reflecting their identity and their personality, signature aspects of their style into the artist style. So once you complete this video, you're almost there, you will begin brainstorming. You'll use the brainstorming document to gather reference images and start making observations about the artist's style that you choose. You can choose any series or existing style you like. And on the brainstorming worksheet, there's an example here of the Omori reference image and then some observations on style. So you will fill out this part and you can use this as an example. So one strategy for drawing your characters is to pick a character from the series that you think matches you best, copy the shapes, but change up the characteristics. For example, in this Adventure Time drawing, the student copied Princess Bubblegum's head and arm shape, but then changed the skin color, hair, added freckles, and changed the clothing to more reflect their identity and personality. So once you've completed your brainstorming, it's time to start sketching. You'll use the paper with the 4x5 frames, the same as we used in our grid drawing in the last unit, to ensure that your sketches are all a consistent size. And you're going to create at least 4 sketches using different art styles. You can do more and then you'll narrow down from there, but you need to have at least 4 different sketches from different series. And then the last step is to add color. For your final draft, you are required to add color for this unit, but you do have choices on how you can do so. You can use colored pencil, marker, watercolor, or you can color digitally if you have your own device for this point. The document in lesson 2.4 has links for demos on each medium, and you can choose which skills you would like to develop using those demonstrations or just practicing what you already know. Please keep in mind that if you choose to use watercolor, you will need to complete your sketch on a different kind of paper. So please see me for more information on this option. And even if you choose to use marker, you might want to use a different paper than the handout. All right, and then this is the final version of the sketches you saw earlier. The student chose to add color digitally with Procreate on an iPad. So that's it for this video. Now it's time to begin brainstorming. If you're having a hard time getting started, you can skip to lesson 2.7, which includes lots of example styles to choose from. And in the presentation, it has videos on how to recreate those styles. So have fun learning from the masters, and I can't wait to see the cartoon you.